Live from ABC7, this is Eyewitness News at 8 p.m. on LA56.
A muddy mess in Hollywood as crews work to clean up after yet another water main break.
Jurors have reached a verdict in the murder trial of a man accused of killing two USC graduate students from China.
And a wild police pursuit ends on someone's lawn. Police find the female driver unconscious. Good evening, I'm David Ono.
And I'm Colleen Sullivan. Welcome to Eyewitness News on LA56. The water started spewing shortly after 4 this afternoon, right in the middle of the Highland and Santa Monica Boulevard intersection. The water has since been shut off. Eyewitness News reporter Alex Michelson joins us live from Hollywood, where crews are now trying to clean up. Alex.
Colleen, you can see why the street is shut down behind me. You can see some of those crews right here. Lots of mud in this street. Got some bulldozers working. And right over to the left of your screen, there is the hole that crews are focused on. All of this underway in one of the busiest intersections in all of Hollywood. DWP crews are hard at work after a 6-inch cast iron pipe from 1920 broke underneath the intersection of Highland and Santa Monica in Hollywood.
Just a matter of siphoning out the water, going in and inspecting the pipe to see what damage there was.
The break occurred at 4:20 p.m., sending water pouring down the street. The water was shut off after dark.
The hole is about 2 feet tall. Buckling and about 25 feet in diameter. There's no way that any traffic can get by in those lanes of traffic.
Traffic is backed up in every direction for an area where a typical rush hour commute is already nightmarish.
Traffic was a lot worse. It was very frustrating.
The Bombay Grill remains open but is inaccessible for its customers due to the break.
We haven't had anyone after 4 o'clock. People were calling us, telling us how can we get into it. If we want to deliver, we can't deliver it either. So it's pretty frustrating.
And that work is continuing here. The LAPD says that they expect hard closures in this area to continue for 1 to 6 more hours. Then they want to try to open up some of the lanes of traffic around here, 1 or 2 lanes. Obviously, that hole right there is going to take some time to get the work done on that. That work is expected to continue overnight, probably into the morning commute, to try to get that hole covered up. For now, reporting live in Hollywood, Alex Michelson, ABC7. Eyewitness.
Yeah, yet another mess, Alex. Thank you for that. In the meantime, a man who was recorded confessing to the murders of 2 USC students has been found guilty. Eyewitness News reporter Leanne Suter has more from the courtroom, including family reaction.
You further find a special circumstance that the murder leads to.
A heartbroken mother sobs as her son, Javier Bolden, is convicted of killing 2 USC students.
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Javier Bolden, guilty of the crime of first-degree murder.
Ying Wu and Ming Chu, 2 graduate students from China, were gunned down in a robbery in 2012 as they sat in a car near the USC campus. Prosecutors say Bolden and his accomplice, Brian Barnes, ambushed the couple. Barnes pleaded guilty to 2 counts of first-degree murder and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. But Bolden went to trial. A key piece of evidence against him, a jailhouse recording by an informant in which Bolden confessed to the murders.
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Javier Bolden, guilty of the crime of attempted murder.
The 22-year-old was also convicted of attempted murder and assault with a semi-automatic weapon in connection with an earlier shooting that left 1 victim brain damaged. Bolden and his attorney maintained the 22-year-old was not guilty of all the charges, but after a lengthy trial and deliberations, jurors convicted him on all counts.
Leanne Suter, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
And prosecutors are not seeking the death penalty in this case. Bolden is facing the possibility of life in prison without parole. He is set to be sentenced November 17th.
Authorities are investigating a deadly deputy-involved shooting in Paramount. 1 suspect was killed near the train tracks behind Paramount High School around 2:30 this afternoon. Another suspect fled the scene but was later caught by police. Authorities say they got word of a possible fight at high school and that one of the suspects may have been armed with a handgun. A deputy attempted to make contact with the suspects, which is when the shooting happened. No deputies were injured in the incident. A driver runs into a bus bench, injuring a mother and her 2 young children. It happened at Jefferson Boulevard and Vermont Avenue across the street from USC. All 3 were rushed to a hospital. The woman and her 1-year-old daughter are in critical condition. Her 3-year-old daughter is in serious condition. The driver of the car was not injured and was not immediately arrested. No word yet on what caused the driver to run into the bus bench.
A woman is facing some serious charges after leading police on a dangerous high-speed chase. The pursuit went from Sylmar south on the 5 into Burbank, then Glendale. As the driver entered this residential neighborhood, she sideswiped a gray car, jumped the curb, ran into a tree, and finally came to a stop. The driver of the gray car was injured in the crash. Her son says they live just a block away.
She just had her normal morning routine, was off to work, and 5 minutes later, see her car all smashed up down the street.
The driver appeared to have been knocked unconscious. She was taken into custody and then transported to a local hospital. Police say they were contacted by her family, who were worried about her mental state.
A pretty comfortable day outside. Let's check in with meteorologist Jonathan Novak for our first look at the forecast. Jonathan?
Yeah, Colleen, temperatures today were just about right at average, maybe a little bit cooler than we should be this time of year. Let's take a look at some of those highs. Santa Clarita hit 85, neared 80 in Pasadena, lower 70s in Long Beach, upper 70s or 78 in Anaheim. So it was a mild to coolish day. 67 right now, though, in Van Nuys and around the area. We're in the upper 60s overall. 69 Fullerton, good evening to you, same in Ontario. 65 Hemet, and 66 Oxnard, down to Santa Monica. We're at 67 tonight. So a little bit cool tomorrow in the morning. We're clearing it out. The skies are going to be mostly sunny tomorrow, and actually we have a warm-up beginning. I will tell you how warm it gets, and also a big cool down later in the forecast, and maybe some rain too. We've got a lot to talk about coming up that 7-day forecast in a few minutes.
All right, we'll see you in a few minutes, Jonathan. Thank you. We're learning that victims in Friday's deadly school shooting in Washington State were invited by text to join the shooter at his table for lunch. Today, there was a moment of silence outside Marysville-Pilchuck High School for the 5 students. 2 girls were killed, including 14-year-old Gia Soriano, who died last night. 3 other students remain in the hospital. Investigators say the gunman, 15-year-old Jalen Freiberg, sent a text to his victims asking them to sit with him at lunch, then shot them at their table. Freiberg then committed suicide. Authorities also confirmed the gun used in the shooting was legally bought by one of Freiberg's relatives.
Authorities in Northern California are still trying to figure out how the man suspected of killing 2 deputies in a shooting rampage managed to avoid detection while living in this country illegally. U.S. officials say the suspect told them his name was Marcelo Marquez, but his fingerprints matched the records of a Luis Enrique Monroy Bracamonte. He was deported twice to Mexico and has a drug conviction. That background should have flagged him for expulsion again, but he was somehow able to live in Utah undetected. Now, one of the victims of the shooting, Placer County Sheriff Detective Michael Davis Jr., was laid to rest yesterday in Sacramento. Davis Jr.'s father, Michael Davis Sr., was also a law enforcement officer. In a tragic coincidence, he was killed on the exact same day, October 24th, 26 years ago, in a helicopter crash while patrolling the border for drug smugglers.
A new video from the terror group ISIS in which a British hostage speaks.
Hello, I'm John Cantley, and today we're in the city of Kobani on the Syrian-Turkish border.
The video also contains aerial footage which ISIS claims was shot by its drones of damage to the city. Cantelli, a journalist, also says that Kobani is mostly under ISIS control, contrary to what most Western media is reporting. In a previous clip, Cantelli made it clear he had been coerced to appear. Kurdish forces have been fighting ISIS for control of Kobani.
A flight from LAX is now headed for London after being delayed overnight due to the unusual name of a Wi-Fi hotspot. An ABC7 Eyewitness sent us a picture of what they found. An Eyewitness News reporter, Joshua Phillips, shows us why it put passengers and crew members on alert.
Thank goodness that we did not fly, because you just don't know.
Elliot Delpra was on American Airlines Flight 136 about to take off to London when a passenger on board discovered this on their Wi-Fi connections, a hotspot named Al-Qaeda Free Terror Network.
It's very scary to think that someone would actually do that, especially on an international flight.
The spelling was off, but of course it raised concerns. The plane was held in a remote part of the airport for 3 hours, and the passengers were told to turn off all their electronic devices.
At first, the captain came and said it was a maintenance issue, and then after an hour, he said there was a security threat and that we didn't have clearance to take off.
The network didn't appear on Delpra's phone, but he said it did on several passengers' devices.
the passengers that were near did, because Wi-Fi does come within a close range, so it must have been somebody on the aircraft.
Customs and Border Protections conducted an investigation and cleared the plane to fly, deeming no crime had been committed, but the flight crew didn't feel comfortable taking off. The flight was rescheduled to leave today at 1, and Delfra hopes there are no other incidents.
Even if it is a joke, you can't be of sane mind to be even making these judgments and naming your Wi-Fi's Al-Qaeda. It's already a red flag.
Officials say they couldn't pinpoint the passenger who named the network, but also say that person, whoever they were, did not commit a crime. At LAX, I'm Darsha Phillips, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
A haunted house in Riverside forced to relocate after complaints last year is facing some new trouble this year, and we'll explain.
And a woman says she used her high-heeled shoe to scare off an intruder. We're going to hear from that brave mother.
Then good news for chocolate lovers, the added health benefit of cocoa, coming up. A single mother of three says she used her high-heeled shoe to scare off an intruder at her Hanford home. The woman doesn't want to be identified, but says she woke up to the sounds of creaking and footsteps. She says she grabbed the nearest weapon she could find, a high-heeled shoe.
I came around the corner and was going to lock the door, and I had my shoe, and he walked out from the laundry room, and I went at him and told him to get out of my house.
I've been corrected, that's a wedge. She quickly locked the door and stayed on the phone with the 911 dispatcher. Kings County Sheriff's deputies found Cruz Aguilar Garcia hiding out in someone else's yard with bags full of stolen property. The 28-year-old suspect was charged with residential burglary and robbery.
A haunted house in Riverside forced to relocate after complaints last year is facing new trouble. Eyewitness News Inland Empire reporter Leticia Juarez shows us why. In spite of the move, police say the house is still offering more tricks than treats to its neighbors.
Despite a new location, it seems Riverside's Halloween house is still being haunted by the same complaints that shut it down 2 years ago.
Everybody was having a good time. The kids were dancing, adults were dancing, enjoying it, and they just came and said that it was time to shut off and that pick up your trash, and that was the end.
But not everyone was thrilled to live in close proximity to the house with the singing pumpkins and light display.
At first it was a novelty, it was kind of cool, but you know, 2 times a night, 3 times a night, I don't know how many times he did it. I know he had at least 2 shows, and it just brought a lot of people that didn't care about the neighborhood.
Nor were they happy with the crowds that swarmed the park across the street where traffic it created.
It just was overwhelming to the neighborhood. We appreciate what he did, but we don't appreciate the environmental impact it hit us with.
This is the second time creator Kevin Judd has had to pull the plug. In 2012, his homeowners association axed the festive display following complaints of large crowds and traffic.
This is one of those parks where there's a lot of baseball, football, soccer games, and screaming moms and dads are louder than our show.
This time around, it was 11 noise complaints called into the Riverside Police Department. A strict noise ordinance preventing any more nightly shows.
And actually last night, our kids made the comment that we wish the music was a little louder.
The show's creators tell us while there'll be no more shows this year, they'll be looking into permits for next year. Reporting in Riverside, Lucy Suarez, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Well, we might as well stay on the Halloween theme going into weather because there is concern about Friday night.
Slight rain chance. We're going to talk about how long that rain chance lasts. Nevertheless, it's going to be a lot colder.
Really?
Whether or not we get rain, there's a slight chance, but we'll talk about that in a moment. It is definitely going to be colder. Let's see what happened today, though. It was fantastic. Long Beach, how about it? Sun setting over clear skies. It was a nice day. Temperatures right about where they should be for Halloween week. And right now, we're looking at the almanac from downtown, just to show that. 77 was our high. Normally, we're at 77. There you go. It was a little warmer in the morning than we should be. Normally, we're in the upper 50s, but we really have seen some warmer mornings as of late, and we will again tomorrow with temps dropping about 60 in downtown. 67 right now in downtown with clear skies. Long Beach, 68 degrees right now. And around the area, we're seeing temperatures pretty much within that range. 66 Burbank, 63 over in Riverside. Good evening to you. 68 again in Long Beach, but Santa Monica, 67, as well as Van Nuys, and 55 cool in Frazier Park, but Big Bear at 46 is the coolest right now. So if you head out tonight, kind of a coolish feel, but clear skies. Here's a front that kept us relatively cool over the last few days, but in its wake, high pressure building in. Check it out. You see this little arc in the atmosphere right here to the west of us? That is the influence of high pressure. And as we see those winds go, well, that's actually a front. And what we want to see is high pressure over our area over the next couple of days building in. Now, that's going to keep things warmer. It's going to keep things sunny. And as we go through the end of the week, we'll see that replaced with a next system moving in that could bring a chance of rain and much cooler weather heading into Halloween. So here you go in the future rainfall. I'll bring you in from tonight in through Tuesday and Wednesday. Watch how clear we are. The rain will stay to the north. That's the influence of high pressure, keeping anything in terms of rain or clouds up to the north of us. So tomorrow, Wednesday, much warmer, all right? Now we go through Thursday, we start the cool down, but it's not till late Thursday that the clouds move in. This is 4 p.m. You see already some of that cloud cover and a chance of rain up to the north of us. Friday into Saturday, that chance of rain will creep into Southern California, and we'll start talking about that as we go on through the week and see how likely it is. Right now, we just have a slight chance, though. Tomorrow's highs, a little bit warmer than today by about 3 to 6 degrees. We'll go with 80 in LA, 86 Riverside, 82 Mission Viejo, Irvine. Tomorrow, you'll top out around 80 degrees and 76 Dana Point. Here it is, 7-day forecast. LA Metro and Orange County powered up by AccuWeather. Tomorrow's 80, then we're at 85 on Wednesday, and then a little cooler on Thursday, but a lot cooler on Friday with a slight chance of rain at night, and then a slight chance of rain in the morning for Saturday. Look at the high on Saturday, only 70 degrees. Wow. And then the low on Sunday, 53, with a high of only 73 in the valleys. Take a moment and check this out. 84 tomorrow, we're warming up, 88 on Wednesday, but by Friday into Saturday, you're in the upper 60s, lower 70s, a big cool down toward the weekend with, again, also a chance of rain for you heading into Halloween and the mountains as well. Very chilly. Highs on Saturday and Sunday, only 49. Up until then, you're going to stay in the 60s. In the high desert, you're around 77 to 80 for a few days before dropping into the 60s as well for the weekend. So maybe a little bit of shower activity on Halloween. We'll keep you posted throughout the week, though. And back to you guys for this.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. This is no Halloween trick. Growing concern over rabid bats in the Santa Clarita Valley. 3 more positive tests have brought the total number of 18 there this year. That's more than half of all the cases reported in LA County. Most recently, bats have tested positive for rabies in Canyon Country, where one was found at a business, and Newhall, where the bat flew toward a homeowner in her backyard. Officials aren't sure what's causing so many rabid bats in the area, but they're urging everyone not to touch any bats, including dead ones.
Caught on tape, a group of wild donkeys roaming the streets of Riverside. They were spotted early this morning in front of the old sheriff's station at Ruston and Spruce. Police were called out to the scene. They found that the animals were minding their own business and were not doing any harm, so the officers left. The donkeys continued to eat the grass and eventually left the area.
What's not to like about the 100 Club? Apparently, lots, according to parents who are worried of a new social media obsession causing anxiety for some teens and the parents. Teens post a picture on Facebook or Instagram, and then they hope for as many likes as possible, and they consider 100 likes or more good. Less is a poor showing, even embarrassing.
Everyone in school gets around 100 or more, so then just kind of gets us wanting to be in the hundreds.
I don't know, it's just not good to be the only person who doesn't have it.
Some teens say they'll delete pictures that don't hit 100 or more likes. Parents are worried about the competition and the pressure. Experts suggest limiting your teens' time online.
If you like chocolate, here's some news that'll make you feel better about indulging. Researchers say a compound found in cocoa may help your memory. The study published in Nature Neuroscience describes a connection between flavonols and better memory function. Flavonols are chemicals found in cocoa. Researchers say flavonols appear to increase blood flow to the brain, especially in the areas related to memory function. While the research was only done in mice, initial results are promising. And the other caveat, the amount of flavonols in the study were significantly higher than what you'd find in a chocolate bar.
So eat several chocolate bars.
Exactly. That's how I hear it.
You don't get enough in one, apparently.
Exactly.
Well, coming up at Eyewitness News, we'll have an update on that water main break in Hollywood as crews continue to clean up the mess.
And how could you get your hands on a historic home? We're going to tell you who this house belongs to.
Plus, Harry Potter-themed rooms are creating a unique problem for one hotel. We'll explain when we come back.
Thousands of bras are being draped from a hotel in downtown Fargo, North Dakota for breast cancer awareness. Each bra represents a $5 contribution to help buy gas cards for local breast cancer patients. On Thursday, the hotel will host a fashion show and auction for some of the more artistic bras. Organizers say in the past 8 years, the event has raised nearly $600,000.
Are you looking for a home with some history? The Southside Chicago house formerly owned by Al Capone is up for sale. The asking price is $225,000 for this two-story, 2,800 square foot home with a full basement. It was built in 1908. Capone and his family moved in 1923. Much of this house has been renovated recently. And just a day after a 6-pound golden nugget made its debut in a San Francisco antique show, it was sold. There is a mystery this morning over who bought it and for how much. Only the buyer and the seller know for sure. Both have said that they want to keep that amount private, but a person with knowledge of the exchange says it wasn't far from the $400,000 asking price. The nugget was discovered in July by a gold prospector in the mountains of Butte County.
Wow. New at 8 o'clock, a London hotel has cast a spell on fans with Harry Potter-themed rooms. Demand is so high, the hotel's website keeps crashing. The Georgian house is offering the chance to channel your inner Hogwarts. A limited number of rooms called Wizard's Chambers are decked out with potion bottles, cauldrons, and other items from the popular book and film series. One night stay for two will cost you more than $300, and that price goes up if you want some of the little extras like a tour of the Harry Potter movie sets. And the hotel is booking rooms into December 2015.
All right. Thank you.
Fun.
We are updating the evening's top stories next at 8:30. A bench warrant is out for the arrest of a former Scandal actor.
And take a look at where old asphalt ends up after street repairs and why neighbors are not too happy about it. Up next, how they fear it's harming their health.
Plus, an American nurse is on her way home to Maine after being detained over fears of Ebola. An update after the break.
Live from ABC7, This is Eyewitness News at 8:30 p.m. on LA56.
And our top story at 8:30, an update on that broken water main in Hollywood that's been snarling traffic. I'm David Ono.
And I'm Colleen Sullivan. This is Eyewitness News at 8:30 on LA56. The water was shut off around 6:45, but the intersection remains closed. Crews are now working to fix the pipe and clean up the muddy mess. The main ruptured right in the middle of rush hour at the intersection of Santa Monica and Highland. The LAPD hopes to open up at least some of these lanes by the end of the night, but the total repair on this hole will likely stretch into at least tomorrow.
A man who was recorded confessing to the murders of 2 USC grad students from China has been found guilty. Javier Bolden was convicted of 2 counts of first-degree murder today. This stems from the killings of 2 men who were gunned down in a robbery in 2012 as they sat in a car near the USC campus. Prosecutors are not seeking the death penalty, so Bolden will face life in prison without the possibility of parole when he is sentenced next month.
Residents in Lake Balboa say an asphalt storage facility has been covering their neighborhood in dust. The asphalt towers over the area near the 8100 block of Balboa Place. Eyewitness News reporter Carlos Granda has more on the controversy.
It also isn't very pleasant to live in Lake Balboa and feel like you're in the middle of an industrial area.
Joan Kelly has lived in this neighborhood for years and says now this is her view, a mountain of asphalt. It's a facility next to the Van Nuys Airport along Balboa Boulevard that the city of Los Angeles uses to store reclaimed asphalt. When the street is torn up, the crushed material ends up here. Rocks and dirt, and residents say on a windy day, it goes everywhere.
Oh, it's terrible. You can't have the windows open overnight because anything that you leave out has just a film of dusty dirt on it in the morning.
Residents say they were told by the city it simply has too much of this material, but it can't be disposed of at a loss, so it will be stored here. The city told us today reclaimed asphalt pavement, RAP, is being delivered and removed on an ongoing basis. We recycle it and we reuse it. Inspectors from the Air Quality Management District did come out here and measured air levels and found nothing harmful, but residents are worried about breathing in this asphalt dust.
I am concerned about my health. I can't imagine that that's healthy. There's just no way it's healthy.
In a statement, the city told us today, we have been looking for and continue to seek alternative locations to store this material. Kelly, however, doesn't believe it's going anywhere anytime soon.
I just couldn't get anywhere with this. They just told me that that's their yard and that's what it's meant to contain, and there was really nothing else to do.
Carlos Granda, ABC7, Eyewitness News.
Officials from the Air Quality Management District tell Eyewitness News that when they went out to the area, they did not find any blowing dust, and in fact, the powder was being watered down, which is an acceptable way to reduce dust. Residents say they will keep on fighting.
Turning now, we now know the name of the woman who was shot and killed in one of 2 drive-by shootings in Watts. 29-year-old Samika Grigley was shot late last night. 4 other people remain hospitalized. The attacks were about an hour apart, and both were adjacent to the Imperial Courts housing project. No arrests have been made, but the gunman is described as a man in his 20s. He was seen exiting a gold vehicle, possibly a sedan or station wagon.
A bench warrant is out for the arrest of actor Columbus Short. The former Scandal actor failed to show up for a court hearing today on charges that he punched and knocked out a man at a West LA restaurant. The hearing was to determine if there's enough evidence for the case to go to trial. Short's attorney says his client got stuck in Atlanta after being bumped off a flight. He faces up to 4 years in prison if convicted. In August, Short pleaded no contest to spousal battery and was sentenced to probation. A federal judge ruled the most recent White House fence jumper incompetent to stand trial. The judge ordered 23-year-old Dominic Asenya to be held for more psychiatric testing and treatment. Adesanya struggled with U.S. Marshals as they tried to lead him out of court. He also yelled for somebody to help him. Several court security workers rushed to help marshals get him out the door. The judge set another court date for December 22nd.
On to the Ebola scare now. An American nurse is on her way home to Maine after being detained and held in a tent while doctors tested her for the virus. Her treatment stirred up a big debate over whether it was fair to keep her against her will. ABC's Lindsay Davis explains the new CDC guidelines.
Tonight, Nurse Casey Hickox heading home to Maine after being confined to this hospital tent for 3 days all because she worked with Ebola patients in Sierra Leone, quarantined by New Jersey even after she tested negative for the disease.
I know she didn't want to be there. No one ever wants to be in the hospital, I suspect. And so I understand that. But the fact is, I have a much bigger responsibility to the people of the public. And so I think when she has time to reflect, she'll understand that as well.
Hickox landed in Newark on Friday. Her temperature, 98 degrees. Still, she was detained, grilled by officials. And 4 hours later, her temperature was up to 101. Hickox says it was because she was so stressed. 2 hours later, she was transferred to that tent. You see her here, talking to her lawyer through thick plastic. Inside, a medical bed in a bare-bones room. Saturday morning, her Ebola test, negative. She described the experience to CNN as inhumane.
And I feel like my basic human rights have been violated.
This drama playing out shortly after Dr. Craig Spencer was raced to a New York hospital. His fiancée quarantined in their Harlem apartment. Now 9 states ordering healthcare workers returning from the hot zone be quarantined for 21 days. Tonight, the CDC releasing new guidelines.
These very brave and courageous health workers, they welcome the kind of response to them when they come back that's at least based on scientific data.
That was Lindsay Davis reporting. Hickox will remain under quarantine in Maine. Dr. Spencer remains in serious but stable condition.
South Korean prosecutors are asking for the death penalty for the captain of a ferry that sank, killing more than 300 people, and life in prison for 3 other crew members. The captain and crew were brought to court this morning to learn what punishment prosecutors would seek. Families of many of the victims were there as well. The ferry sank last April. Most of those killed were students from a single high school. The captain is accused of negligence and abandoning ship without attempting to rescue passengers.
Toronto has elected a new mayor, ending the scandal-ridden Rob Ford era. John Tory had 40% of the vote compared to 34% for Ford's brother, Doug Ford. Rob Ford was running for re-election despite a series of scandals, including his admission that he had smoked crack. He dropped out of the race last month only after revealing he has cancer. Despite the cancer, Ford sought a city council in the district where he launched his political career, and he won that position. It was his old seat, and he won it in a landslide.
Ahead on Eyewitness News, why water your brown lawn to make it green when you can paint it. We're going to explain.
And the Coast Guard comes to the rescue of some desperate people clinging to an overturned raft.
Plus, Mexico's Navy brings a tall ship to LA, and you can get a tour. We're going to show you how.
Jonathan Novak here. Fantastic day, but we're looking at the live Mega Doppler 7000 HD. It is calm and dry right now, but rain in the forecast. Details ahead. Stick around.
quite a sight sailing into the port of Los Angeles today. A massive Mexican Navy training ship, and the public is invited to come aboard. Eyewitness News reporter Rob Hayes got a look inside.
There are ships, and then there are ships.
This is a tall ship.
A really tall ship, 168 feet at its highest point. It's called the Cuauhtémoc, a Class A Mexican Navy bark. The ship is actually a floating classroom used to train Mexican naval cadets. It sailed into the port of Los Angeles for the first time in 9 years.
This is so important to the Port of Los Angeles is because we want to bring tourists down here, but it also celebrates a tradition here at the port.
At nearly the length of a football field, the Cuauhtémoc throws an impressive silhouette against the San Pedro coastline. Mexican sailors working the rigging of the ship's 23 sails, enough fabric to cover more than half an acre.
And you know it's a big ship when it's carrying 253 crew members. They've been on board since April, and what a wake they've left behind.
We have visited 19 ports from 11 countries and had sailed more than 22,000 nautical miles to arrive here.
During their journeys, the captain says the electronics aboard the ship are turned off. The cadets learning how to navigate using just a compass, a sextant, and the stars. It's that old-time high seas romanticism that draws so many people to ships like this.
A lot of us that sail wish that we had lived 100 years ago when there were a lot of ships like this out here.
I mean, I'm really impressed. She's beautiful.
If you want to check out the Cuauhtémoc, it's docked at berth 46 for the next few days. Onboard tours are available Tuesday through Thursday, 10 in the morning until 10 at night, and it's quite hard to beat the price.
It's free.
In San Pedro, Rob Hayes, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Well, it was just about perfect weather for moving a 35-foot dragon. The cement dragon is actually a climbing tunnel with a slide for kids to play on. It's being moved from the Burbank studios, where it was built, to a park in Maywood. The project is overseen by the group the Trust for Public Land, which builds parks in underserved areas that lack open space for kids. Artist Julino Becerra created the dragon. The mosaic work alone was taken a year and a half.
When you come up to it, it might look like it's a field of green, but then you get up to it and you see all the little things that make it up, and it creates stories. So the whole thing is to create stories with the art.
The park is set to open on Maywood Avenue in Maywood next year with the giant dragon as a featured attraction.
That's beautiful.
That's going to be great.
No doubt. Well, still to come, here's a unique way to save water.
Painting your lawn. It's what makes football fields look so green and beautiful. Could it work for your home, too?
And will one Laker have extra motivation in tomorrow's opening game? A report from Lakerland coming up in sports.
Off the coast of Florida, Coast Guard rescuers pull 8 people from the water. However, as many as 5 others are still missing. This morning, the Coast Guard got a report of several people clinging to a raft. There are reports they are immigrants who are trying to sail to Florida with a raft overturned, but that has not been confirmed. Again, 8 have been rescued. The search continues for 5 others.
Well, let's switch gears and let's talk about our forecast. So you're saying it's going to get warmer and colder.
Yeah, warmer, colder.
The rain.
The rain. We got a little bit of everything. Unfortunately, some of the colder weather, well, actually not so much. I liked the colder weather when I went trick-or-treating personally, but the rain could be an issue. Let's talk about it. Laguna Beach outside today was fabulous. Fabulous. I was a combination of fantastic and fabulous, guys. Fabulous. Sun setting over clear skies. Laguna Beach. Dry. Right now, live Mega Doppler 7000 HD, live sweeps heading around. This could get a little busy heading in toward Halloween. We could see some green on that screen, but for now, we're looking at a dry forecast for the next few days and a warm up in store. Let's look at it. 67 right now at the airports, LAX, 67 Van Nuys, 66 Oxnard. Good evening to you. Edwards, 62 in Palmdale right now. Current temperature 61. One more, Santa Ana, 70 degrees right now. It's a nice mild temperature for you. So we had a front roll through for the weekend, and it kept us cool for a couple of days, as well as today, where temperatures were about average or maybe a little bit cooler. But you see this little arc in the atmosphere here? It's high pressure, okay? That's going to be building in over the next day and a half, and the next 2 days will be warmer. We have a big warm-up. Not huge, but a big warm-up. Behind the high pressure is an area low pressure and a front that will come through on Thursday and especially cooling us down for Friday and into Saturday. It all shows up right here in the future scan very well, the timing of everything. Look at Tuesday, 4 p.m., a little bit more pronounced, that ridge of high pressure, and even more so on Wednesday, a very warm day, above average temperatures. That's the high pressure zone, right? Now watch it get nudged to the east going into Thursday. That is because of this big trough of low pressure, and that's going to roll through again going into Friday and Saturday, and that's going to bring a chance of rain, okay? So chance of rain Friday night into Saturday morning. Until then, it is dry, and it is going to be warming up. So your day planner for tomorrow, you wake up to about 60 degrees in downtown LA, 77 already by noon, which is about where we hit for a high today. All right, so temperatures already warming up as we go through the afternoon tomorrow. We'll hit about 80 in your 7-day forecast for LA Metro, Orange County. And then 85 on Wednesday, above average, 7 or 8 degrees. And Thursday, we start to cool down. 72 on Friday, even cooler, and especially on Saturday, kind of cold to start it off. 57, only 70 for a high with that risk of some showers Saturday night into Sunday. So we could see that rain play out. You might want to bring a jacket, umbrella on Halloween night. We'll have to cross our fingers and hope it stays dry. 7-day forecast for the valleys, i.e. 84 tomorrow, nearing 90 and hitting it in some spots on Wednesday. There you go on Thursday, cooling down to 82, 73 on Friday, and look at the high on Saturday, only 69 degrees. A cool weekend ahead. The mountains dropping to 49 for both Saturday and Sunday. 3 days in the 60s until then, and in the high desert looking good for a few days, but you're into the 60s as well on Saturday with even a shower possible Saturday morning. Dallas has more on ABC7 at 11.
Thank you, Jonathan.
You're welcome.
Lakers franchise has gone from the penthouse to the outhouse. They won 5 titles under Phil Jackson and went to the finals 7 times. But without Kobe last year, they finished 14th in the conference. And tomorrow's opener offers little promise for a bright future. The Lakers will only have 10 healthy players when they open against Houston tomorrow night. Wayne Ellington and Ryan Kelly join Steve Nash, Javier Henry, and Nick Young on the bench with injuries. Swaggy P was in practice today, but with a heavy brace on his shooting hand. Starting at point will be Jeremy Lin, who may have a little extra motivation going against his former team.
I really don't address it. I don't think we have to. I think if you address it, then you're kind of buying into it or feeding into it a little bit. So I just want Jeremy to go out there and play his game. You know, I don't know what Dwight's motivation is as far as if I'm guessing, I'm sure he would love to play and beat the crap out of us and have a great game. You know, but as far as our part is concerned, you know, it's just to get everybody to come out there and play well and play hard, Jeremy included.
The Clippers open their season on Thursday night at a big matchup against the team that eliminated them from the playoffs, Oklahoma City. For the second straight season, the Clippers come in not only as one of the best teams in the West, but NBA title contenders. And if you look at the Clips' 2-6 preseason record, one might think a championship may not be a long shot, but All-Star Chris Paul looks at the glass half full.
We haven't had everybody play together in any of those preseason games, but at the same time, it's no more rehearsals and stuff. Game 1 is Thursday against a very good Oklahoma City team.
We'll know who we are and where we should be opening night and the next night, We were happy with preseason last year and we lost the first game of the year. So if I could do it over, I would rather have a terrible preseason than won that first game.
Football now. UCLA left Colorado with a 6-2 record after their double overtime win over the Buffs. This weekend will prove crucial to the chances at getting to the Pac-12 title game, needing a win over 6-1 Arizona to keep a slight chance of finishing first in the Pac-12 South.
We're 6-2 still, and we won some games and they've been tight games, but we pulled through on a lot of them. But I think this is one of those weeks where you have to understand that it's a huge game. It's a South opponent, and for us to be able to get to our end goal, which is Pac-12 championship, we have to beat U of A.
Their offense is very explosive. We can't have a lapse against them, or it's gonna be a high-scoring game. We're gonna be very, very embarrassed at the end of the score. So we're gonna have to come out guns blazing and just maintain that throughout the whole game.
And now to cars. Consumer Reports has just released this year's ranking of the most and least reliable new cars and car makers. And as consumer specialist Rick Romero shows you, there are some big changes this year, with Infiniti dropping most dramatically in the ranks and an American car manufacturing making the top 10.
This is the most reliable new car you can buy, the Scion XB. That, according to Consumer Reports' latest reliability survey.
We collect data on over 1 million vehicles, so we can tell you which ones are most and least likely to give you trouble. And we have data on 28 brands as well.
Once again, the most reliable brands are dominated by the Japanese, with Lexus, Toyota, and Mazda taking the top 3 spots. Honda came in at number 4. The 4 least reliable brands, Dodge, Ram, Jeep, and Fiat, all owned by Chrysler.
Chrysler has traditionally had more than its fair share of trouble. And the addition of Fiat in the mix, it really hasn't helped.
In fact, the new Fiat 500L is ranked the least reliable car out of the 248 Consumer Reports rated. Some American brands did well, however. Lincoln shot up 12 spots this year, and Buick made it onto the top 10 list of reliable brands, the only American car to do so.
GM has been one of the better domestic brands in terms of reliability, and Buick has often been their top brand.
A few first-year cars, like the Mazda 6 and Kia Cadenza, got high marks for reliability, but most did not.
If you're looking for a reliable car, it's really not best to find a car that's in the first year of the redesign. Wait a year or two until they work out some of those bugs.
Case in point, the redesigned Chevrolet Silverado, which Consumer Reports research shows had lots of problems in its first year. Now, according to Consumer Reports, the most reliable SUVs are the Mitsubishi Outlander Sport, the Subaru Forester, the Toyota Highlander, and here at Lexus, the RX model. This is Rick Romero, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
And more news straight ahead here at 8:30 and ahead tonight on Eyewitness News at 11 on ABC7. A vicious hate crime caught on camera and how one Hollywood star was called a hero. And America's biggest retailer caught up in a Halloween costume controversy. These stories and all the late-breaking news on Southern California's #1 late newscast, Eyewitness News at 11 on ABC7.
Keeping your lawn looking great while complying with water restrictions due to the drought can be tough.
Very tough, and some people are finding it possible to keep your lawn looking green while not using any water at all. Eyewitness News reporter Miriam Hernandez shows us how.
His vision was for a lush lawn. Paul Katz moved into this Valley Glen neighborhood 5 months ago. He had hoped that spring showers would bring forth a hardy crop of grass. Instead came the drought, the lawn bit the dust, he resorted to the water hose.
But then I got my water bill. When I got my first water bill, it was in excess of $1,500.
His decision? To go green, artificially.
I have kind of a secret sauce that I've added to my formula so that it does look really, really natural.
Carrie McCoy has been a professional lawn painter for 4 years.
It's a non-toxic, vegetable-based turf dye.
Since last spring, she says, her business has been spraying up a storm.
Instead of, 1 call a week, it started being 2, 3, 4 calls a day.
Painting lawns first became popular during the housing bust. Realtors wanted curb appeal for foreclosed homes where the water had been shut off. Some homeowners are resorting to synthetic grass, pricey but more permanent, or native vegetation. Paul Katz and his neighbor paid $300 for this drought-resistant garden along the driveway.
Even the city will give you a rebate up to $3 a square foot. So I signed up for that, but it's a 3 to 6 month waiting list.
So while he waits, a color job.
It's $229 for up to 1,000 square feet, and 1,000 square feet is the average front yard.
Now, I know what you're thinking. It's paint. Won't it come off? Well, it takes about an hour to dry, but after that, the vendor says, it's good for at least 3 months.
My neighbors will all probably be knocking on my door in the next day or two when they see what has happened.
Katz, who was worried about his lawn looking fake, says he's satisfied with the outcome. More important, he says, is the look of his water bill. Fewer greenbacks to pay each month, more for home beautification. Miriam Hernandez, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Well, Christmas is 9 weeks away, but the Grove is already putting up its Christmas tree. Air 7 was over the Grove in the Fairfax district as a large crane put up the more than 100-foot tall tree into the courtyard today. The tree was cut down in Mount Shasta and brought by flatbed truck. The white fir will be lit up with 15,000 lights and decorated with 10,000 ornaments for Christmas. The tree lighting takes place at 7:30 this Sunday. No, not this Sunday. Sunday, November 16th. So it's going to take them that long to get the tree ready.
Still can't believe it's there, though. Christmas is 9 weeks away.
Coming.
You said it. All right. Well, that's our report for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us for Eyewitness News at 8:30 on LA56.
Good night.